Here we are on the old River Nene at March Town Centre. In fact, the Town Centre bridge is just up there, and I've got the Health Centre bridge just down there. And there's probably 14 pegs between the two bridges that are full of silverfish, roach and skimmers. There's some rudd as well, but it's absolutely full of fish at the moment, where they've had weights of 60 pound in the first match on here and 30 pounds all the way through here. Absolutely incredible fishing. And I'm just going to take you through a session on here with ground bait and pinkies and my approach. Let's get on with it. Well, as you can see here for this session, all I've got is one bait really, and ground bait. I've got pinkies, fluoro pinkies, a few little red pinkies in there, because obviously there's some skimmers here as well as roach, and it just gives you a change bait. And my Hinders supercharged natural black with brown crumb, and that's mixed sort of a third of brown crumb to whatever you use the supercharged natural black. So I'll just mix some pinkies. Not loads. You'll see when I make a ball, and I'm going to kick it off. I've got two lines really. I want to catch short as I can to make it easy to build a weight up, and also it gives me a chance to fish a 4.5 metre whip to hand over my 5-6 metre line, because it's only probably about 4 foot deep anyway, so it's not like it's deep water. So I shall kick it off with one ball just shorter, and then I'm going to put three probably just a metre past it. So I'll just make them up. You can see the pinkies that are in there. There's not loads in there, but there's enough, because then I should just loose feed pinkies over the top, because the float's just a gentle flow from left to right, and it's got just a tinge of colour. So there we have it, 3 for the longer line and 1 for the short line. So I'll cut one ball in just slightly shorter, which is just about there. And I'll cut the other 3 balls in where I'll be short lining it, just probably a metre past it. And then I can also flick my rig just past the baited area as well, catching any fish that are backing off of it. And there's no wind today, so I'll be able to feed the pinkies by the hand, but if there's wind I'd have to use a catapult just to keep it tightish along the line where I put the ground bait in. So I'll kick off on the whip. See if there's any fish about. There we are, straight away. Nice sized roach, 2-3 ounces. Keep those pinkies going in regularly, just trying to draw fish and get them into feeding and get into a rhythm. Much quicker way of fishing with a whip, but obviously the presentation isn't as good as if you're short lining over the top. But it gets you a few quick fish in the net at no time at all, as opposed to shipping a pole out and coming back. That's a nice roach, that is. I'll have to net that one. Good swinging, but look at that quality roach. 4 or 5 ounce, beautiful fish. The fish seem to be just where I'm judging my pinkies are coming down. They're not coming right up onto them. That's where these fish are lining up now. Look at this, lovely fish. Let's see if I can swing that one. Oh. Absolutely awesome. See, I can soon build weights up here. Well, there's the last couple of matches last year and this year. The first match I've had, there's been 2 60-pound weights. Incredible. It's incredible fishing. All fish that size. Absolutely awesome fishing. And I'm probably 5 inches off bottom there. Let's try and find a nice fat fluorescent pinky for the hook. Unbelievable how they line up on the bait and how much bait you can get through. I mean, ground bait, a couple of kilo in my mind of ground bait is enough, but pinkies you get through 3 points. It's incredible, because once it hits the bottom, to me it's dead, it's finished. You want it falling through the water, because the fish aren't upside down really feeding, they're just grabbing it as it comes in. That's why sometimes you can catch them right up where I'm throwing it in there. They'll come right up onto it. And then when I start my rigs where I'm unshipping, just a couple of sections, I have 2 rigs. I have 1/2 or 3/4 of a gram with bulk down, and I have a 7x10, one of my MP1s, 7x10 with a strung out bulk. So what I'll do now, I'll just stop and I'll take you through my rigs. We can have a quick look, my setup, so you can see my approach, how I'm fishing, where I'll be short lining, and my setup on the whip. Okay, let's just have a look at the rigs that I've set up for this session. There's 3 rigs. There's a 4.5 metre whip to hand rig, and then I've got 2 rigs for short line 6 metres, which is literally over the same line. So let's have a look at the whip rig first. Now, my main line's 0.14 power micron, and I'm using one of my MP Roach 3/4 of gram 0.75 carbon stem, nice fluorescent bristle. And the business end, I'm fishing an 0.8 again, power micron, 0.8 hook length to an 18 hook. I've got 3 number 11 droppers, and then I've got my inline Olivet. And my Olivet is probably 12 to 14 inches from my hook, if you can see that there. And this makes it very positive. Olivet goes down, hold a tight line to it, and then I can register on my bristle. Now obviously I start with that, but then I short line over it because it is much more, the presentation is so precise, where you'll get bites on the whip sometimes after you have that initial burst, and then you've got to short line it because you're just putting more fish in the net and it's quicker. 2 rigs I've got set up for short lining. Now I use 0.14 power micron as a main line on my whip, but then it's taking a lot of pressure. On my short lining rigs it's 0.12 power micron. both rigs are 012, and the setup's just the same. It's 18 hook, 0.8 pound micron, 3 11 droppers, but this is a ½ gram MP roach. It's carbon stem. Now why ½ gram is because the lighter the float, the more bites I've found. So, and the difference between ½ gram weighting up and 3/4 gram in 4 foot of water is nothing really, but the presentation is much better. And instead of an Olivet, I've got a bulk shot, and they're number 10s there. There's quite a few of them, and then 3 11 droppers. And again, it's only 14 inches from the hook, 12-14 inches. If anything, I'm really bagging, I'll pull them down, and I might only have 2 droppers, which would be probably 6 inches from my hook. And with loose feeding pinkies, like you'll see me doing, some fish may come up. And sometimes if I start getting some fish on the drop on this, and I'm missing bites on this because the fish are taking it on the drop, it's better to have a bulk, spread bulk, going through the water, and that's my other rig. And I've got a number 4 elastic running through the top section of my MTX4 through the finesse kit, which is enough elastic to take any fish on with that setup. Now the third rig, or the second rig for short lining, again, incidentally the hook I'm using, the 18 there, is the MXB2. It's a new hook that Matrix launched this year, and it is a fantastic hook. It keeps its sharpness and it's got strength, even though it's a medium wire gauge. But the point is, it's phenomenal, especially when you're speed fishing and catching a lot of fish. You need that in a hook. But the setup on this third rig, or the second rig for short lining, if we go, it's 012 pound micron, 0.8 hook length pound micron as well. But I've got a wire stem, one of my MP1 7B10, and the reason I'm having a wire stem is because I've got a spread bulk. Again, I've got 4. I've got 3 number 11 droppers, and then I go on to a 10, and then I've got a string of number 10s, 4 or 5 there. Spread out what you'd call shirt button style. And when I lay this rig in, I can tighten up to it. The spread bulk is falling through the water, and it pulls the float wire stem, cocks it, and I know on the count of 3, 4, she's sitting. But sometimes it just shoots away, or it wakes up, it doesn't wait, and I know a fish has took the hook bait, so I'll just pick up into it and the fish is on. But you're catching in through the water where I'm throwing my pinkies in, falling through. But I'll only pick that rig up if I have to, or if it goes a little bit iffy. That will always get you bites when it goes iffy, but sometimes it's a best rig to use when you can be bagging as well, because you're just tricking them how it falls through the water. So that's it, 3 rigs, 2 for short lining, 1 for the whip. Start on the whip on that rig, and the only time I'll ever go back to fishing the whip, if I really start bagging and thinking I can catch them on the whip. But times I've done it and it's not worked, and it's best to say short lining, but odd times you can go back to the whip and really get the fishing much quicker. Pristine condition. You can see the lateral line down the middle of him. Simply lovely. Beautiful fish. 10 ounce. Lovely. Soon build your weight up with those. Well, I've been on the whip now from the start of the session. Like I said, you start on the whip because it's so much quicker and you build up a weight so quick. And I got into a river and I was catching fish, and now it's just starting to wane where I'm getting bites, they're going to take it, and I know they're good roach, and they're not following through, and then I'm missing bites. So although the whip's a lot quicker, there's times when to change and to short line it, because short line I can move it, I can entice them to take it. So now I just feel it's time to change and short line it. But that's not to say then later on in the session, or if it was a match, you'd go back to them if they really come on strong. But you must start because you build up such a weight so quick. And now like then I've missed 3 bites while I've been talking to you. So now I'm going to change back to the short line, where I haven't done, and I know I'll be catching fish again. Now, with saying that, I just got one now. Right, I'm going to change now to the short line. That's a 3/4 of a gram. I'm going to start with a 1/2 gram. And see how we get on. See if it's instant, which I'm sure it will be, where the presentation is much more precise and I'm more in control. And obviously I'm laying the rigging slightly different as well. It's in a line, swinging from right to left rather than out and coming into me. Look at that straight away. Beautiful roach. I have to net that. Not like the whip where you can swing them in, but I've took a fish straight away. Where on the whip, I'm sure I'd have missed that bite. Most important though, keep those pinkies going in. Look at that, straight away I laid it in. I'm just checking back on it. There's a bite straight away, and I'm in again. The trouble is you can fall in a trap of staying on the whip, getting bites, missing bites, catching fish, but not really putting a weight in the net. Whereas this way, it's a fish every time. It's unbelievable. Different way I've laid that in, different presentation, fish straight away. Real nice fish. And also with short line with elastic, if you hook a decent skimmer, you're always, hopefully, going to get it in as opposed with a whip. More elasticity, more forgiving. I'm still feeding the same spot, but laying this ring I can just check it back and hold it so my bait just kicks in gently, unlike you can with a whip. Unbelievable. Lovely fish as well. Awesome fishing this is. Beautiful roach. Well, it's just gone a little bit iffy on both rigs, and what that tells me is I need to do something. Now I'm just going to top it up with another ball to try and kick-start it. So same size ball that I started the session with. Not loads of pinkies, but there's enough in there. Nice ball. Pop it in the cup, and that surely will kick-start it. Okay, I'll just unlock this one. I've changed the last 10-15 minutes to my 7x10 rig, which is like a strung out bulk. It's been incredible. I was getting a fish, decent roach or a good skimmer up to a pound every put in, where they're following it on the drop, and yet with my other rig I was catching odd fish and the bites were going a little bit iffy, like I did when I started with the whip. So I'm just tricking them now, and they think it's loose feed, or I'm loose feeding the pinkies on this rig, and they're just having it every time. It's incredible. It's all about just changing, fishing the right rig. Look at that, straight away again. You'd have thought the fish had probably moved or gone. That's a perch this time. Even a decent perch. Let's lay it in, strain it out, keep the pinkies going in. That's falling through much slower through my bait. Let's tuck it again now, that's just holding it up. I'll let it develop. There we go. Unbelievable. Just changing a different rig from missing bites to getting a fisher put again. Another perch. It's falling through my loose feed, this rig, much slower. Absolutely incredible. Just change my rigs, keep the fish coming. Where can you go and have fishing like this? Because this is free fishing as well. It's all free fishing from what they call the BMX track right the way up to the bypass bridge. So we've got 80, 90 pegs, where you can catch 20 pounds and upwards of silver fish, and it doesn't cost you a penny. Just lay it down, straighten the rig out, loose feed. And you can read the float weighting up. There's so much stopped it again now. Might be a small fish, but there it goes. It's probably the smallest roach I've caught. And sometimes you get a burst on this and then you change the rig again, and then with the slightly heavier rig falling through quicker you get another burst of fish. I know the fish are there, it's just about trying to keep them coming throughout the session or the match. Just catch as much as you can in the time you're there to fish, getting the most out your peg. Well, I think we'll finish on that one. It's been a brilliant session. I think I'll just carry on catching the fish every put in. Look at that lovely pound skimmer to finish on. Absolutely awesome fishing. All it remains now is to put that in the net and have a look at what we caught. Well, there we go, look at that. What a wonderful session. Probably fished 3.5 hours. I reckon it's probably 40 pound there. Skimmers up to, I've had one about 1.5 pounds, and roach up to 8-9 ounce. Absolutely awesome. Awesome this venue is. Come down here and give it a try. The old Neen at March. Free fishing.